Hey guys, this is Aisha Shelton.
And this is Kevin Shelton.
Welcome back to the Marriage and Real Estate Podcast.
Welcome back.
Okay, we got some friends. Okay, we shouldn't call it friends. We should call them strangers. But they are a couple in real estate. And we promised y'all that we would bring more couples to tell their stories about what they do, where they came from, what they're doing now, and what they plan to do in the future. So we are going to spend a little bit of time with the boys.
Awesome.
And see what y'all got going on.
Well, hold on. I want full introductions because this is my first time meeting y'all.
Oh,
Absolutely.
for sure. My name's Donovan Boyd. This is my wife, Dominique Boyd. We're from Cleveland, Ohio. So we located here in Houston it's going on 3 years.
Oh, man.
This summer.
Okay. So y'all been here.
Yeah.
Y'all have Houstonian.
Right. So
we another 3 years.
So we go. I don't know what's the time frame. And
you gotta take away pandemic and being in the house.
Where you get your when you get your stamp.
3 years. You might be a Houstonian already.
So we've been married. It'll be 12 years in June.
Oh man.
Yeah. So we're going on 12 years. We got married young. So yeah,
y'all look super young.
Right. So we have three beautiful children. We've been married for 12 years. We're in the real estate space. And it's been, we've went to school in New York. I went to Fordham University. Went to South University, got my master's. So I did the whole corporate thing, worked, and just been focusing and even, in the real estate space. My wife, I'll let you talk about yourself, but she's, you can talk about yourself, but, just partner in crime,
There
Love
we go.
it.
Yes. Okay. So I'm Dominique Boyd, and I guess me personally, I am still in corporate America. I've been in HR for about 15 years, and I'm also a realtor, and I'm also an investor, landlord, and a mom and a wife and a sister and a friend, right? All those things.
We got to get you one of our shirts that has all those
things
on it.
listed.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
So yes, I think I would be remiss if I did not mention my baby girl, Drew. We relocated to Houston because of our daughter. She has a heart condition, and Houston is the #1 hospital in the United States. So we packed up and left, and we are here, and we're receiving the best care possible. And
Yeah. So, we've, I think what really, that's what really got us here. I just think the different opportunities and exposing ourselves to different things has kind of pushed us in the space of real estate. Because of my daughter, I kind of stepped away from my previous job. I would say my last full-time employment. I was in the entertainment and marketing space, advertising space. So just the journey we've been on has been very eventful. Like she said, she's been in HR for 15 years. I'm a marketing professional, author. So I've been able to, accomplish some good things. And, the real estate space has been, a new journey, a new task that we really have been going on, diving in, head first in.
Okay.
Dope.
So
I got questions.
we do. We both have questions. You wanna?
So take me all the way back, right?
For sure.
How did y'all get together?
you want me to tell the story?
Because
The girls always tell it the best.
that's true.
The guys tell it the truth.
That's true.
So ironically, we went to high school together.
Okay.
So we never dated in high
Never.
school or
So
anything
y'all ain't
like
high
that.
school sweethearts.
We're not high
Y'all
school
just went to high school.
We just
together.
went to, let's make that clear,
We
right?
went to high school
Okay.
together.
Got it.
But we get that often because we've been together so long,
And y'all look young.
Right. Did you go to high school? Been high school sweethearts, but no, we did go to high school together. When I left New York, I came back home in 2007. Me and my friend was at the mall, and I think we bumped into each other at the mall, and I was like, man, I need a job. because I didn't stay in New York, so I really wasn't going the corporate route at the time. I was in music, so that's what I was kind of looking for, but that really wasn't back home. So she was like, well, I work at Target. I'm like, Target?
Love Target.
Love Target.
I'm like, I just, I just graduated.
We know some folks making some money.
So
I had to school.
Right. So the thing was, I'm like, man, we used to laugh at Target for being at the career fair, right?
No.
Nobody would go to the Target table, right? Because I pretty much went to an Ivy League school. Yeah. So like, dude, I just graduated with this Fordham degree. I'm not working at Target, but you better talk to the freshmen for some summer jobs. Like, I'm not going over there. So not even knowing their management program, not knowing anything about it. So she was like, oh, no, you got a degree. You can come in as manager, so on and so forth. So she ended up helping with the job. I mean, landed the interview and everything. My friend always always jokes and says she strategically got me the job on purpose. That's right? Real? So, like that. So we worked together and, one thing led to another, and we started dating and hanging out and talking all the time and all of that. And
one thing led to another.
One thing led to another. 13,
he was intentional.
13 years later, maybe 14. 14. Yeah, 08. So 14 years later, we still hanging around.
We have the dynamic duo.
That's impressive, though, because literally you had such a long break between high school and meeting each other again. Like, that's a whole life. You know what I mean? Like, you went to whole college, came back, and then reconnected. So y'all definitely don't qualify for high school sweethearts. Like, no, we don't. 100%. Y'all grown, like, real
right
post-college.
Yeah.
And, Target is a look, man. We know some folks make some real bread at Target, so.
For sure.
It's true.
It's a thing.
Yeah,
I really like Target too.
Like, we both really love Target.
Target was a
good organization.
Yeah, it's a great organization.
Target is a good job, man. I ride by Target all the time. If I'm in Target, I'm like, man, I could do this again. It still gives me that same feeling. But so that was pretty much our story, man. We got married in Jamaica. We had our son, our oldest son just turned 13.
13.
We got a 13-year-old
2 days ago. So really,
welcome to the 13.
Right. Showing us how hard we've been together and how long, and just watching him grow up has been, crazy now that he's 13. So
hopefully boys are easier, because I have a 13-year-old girl. We have a 13-year-old girl, and she a mess. And it's fine. Yeah, so teenage years.
She's 13. I mean, she's
almost 14
through and through.
She almost out of my house. No, I'm just playing, but her mouth is wow.
Her mouth is very 13.
Teenage years.
So
hopefully boys are easier.
Me too. I hope so.
We'll see. We have a 2-year-old son.
Oh, he wild.
So
now.
we'll see.
I was going to say too. He wild.
Oh yeah. That's a different energy.
He's amazing.
Yeah, we have 13, 8, and 6.
Okay, y'all having a lot of fun. Y'all reaching the whole spectrum.
13, 8, and 6.
So did y'all always know that y'all wanted to get into real estate at all, or did it kind of come along the path? Did the opportunities just present itself, or what got y'all here from there? I know what brought y'all to the city, but what got y'all in the real estate space?
So ironically, we've been in real estate for like, what is that, 09? So it's like, what is this? 12 years, 13, 22. 22. So like 13 years, right? But that was our first property that we purchased. Right. We were renting and we just had a bad experience. It's funny now, right? But we wasn't dirty or anything, but we had a whole bunch of ants.
We lived on an anthill.
Right. So they
didn't know.
You lived on
an anthill.
Yeah. So they built. So I don't know if it was new construction or what, but it was an anthill.
Red ants.
And they were everywhere.
So it was like an ant, like
like I had a newborn baby and they bit my baby. Like that was like
they were everywhere.
Community.
Yes,
like this a whole.
So, so I'm like, man, like we can't stay here, but we signed a lease. So it's like, so we complaining. At the time I had just switched over at Target to third shift. I had got a promotion, so I'm working third shift. So, I get a call like, Mr. Boyd, just want to let you know, we checked out your place and, we checked out the place and it looks good. So, we're going to, probably let you out of your lease. I'm like, hell yeah, you were asleep. And I'm like, so you came in here while I was asleep. So they tried to sneak into the place to see if like we were dirty, how we were living. But
if we were the cause.
Right. So in the building.
There's a way to do that too.
Right.
That's not it.
So it was in the building, it was like 4 units and it was a whole bunch of just 4 units. So we only had one neighbor. So they was like, they're not complaining. I'm like, well, maybe they ain't seeing it. Right. So he come in, I'm talking about, we opening the food, they're coming out the cereal boxes.
Oh man.
Yeah. Right. So I'm like, they in the infestation, they crawling. So they let us out. And I'm like, man, we can kind of find something, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, you know what? We're not going to get another apartment. We're going to try to buy, because at that time, there's a lot of foreclosures. The market
great
crashed.
time in the market.
I bought in 08 too. 09,
Right. So,
08.
yeah, so we end up getting a realtor, and he specialized in foreclosures, right? My guy, Andy, right? Andy would drive us all around. We end up moving with our mom. She allowed us to, come near
Stack
with
up.
the baby, with the stack up. And ironically, she found us a place, our first place. It was super cheap, and the mortgage was less than what we was paying for rent.
Listen, my mortgage
Amen to
on
that.
my first house was $724.
And when we got together, my rent was $1,300.
Oh, yeah.
3 bedroom,
Yeah.
2 bath, built from the ground up,
Yeah.
$700.
First thing I did was I got to get out of this lease.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was a leak.
So the people had lost it. It was foreclosed on. She rode by. She seen the sign, bank owned. It was in the neighborhood that I grew up in. And we still have that house to this day. So,
All right.
I-
Do real estate.
right. So, as we had babies, right, she kept asking for houses. So before you knew it,
Space.
yeah,
so
give me
before
more
you
space.
knew it, we had 3 properties. And the crazy thing is, people always say, it's kind of a blessing, right? We never sold anything.
Yep.
And I'm not really sure why,
We didn't have to.
you know what I'm saying? But because the mortgages were so low, it wasn't like, okay. And then the next house we bought was still cheap. So it wasn't like we needed that money for a down payment.
Yeah.
And, at the time when we bought the first one, we wasn't married. So I purchased, so we,
So you
We did the
leverage
same
one
thing.
for the other.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
So,
we did.
that's how it was just until we got intentional. Those just happened.
Just happened.
Then we got intentional, and we started buying more. But that's how
But I
we
think
got.
that's something to point out,
1,000%.
That's how we got in
specifically
there.
because we both kind of had the same. We both had the same route, right? Like we were kind of accidental investors, and then we were like, "Hold on, wait, this works out really well.
Correct.
We should do this again and again." And so, for those of you that are trying to figure out how am I going to get my first property, how do I build a real estate portfolio, you can be more intentional than us, knowing that if you get a good deal and you get into a home, that can be your first rental property, and then you just kind of snowball from there.
So let me ask a question before I make a comment on what you're saying. Did anybody along the way help you, give you advice, or any of that?
We really, honestly, it's just the grace of God, to be honest, and us really being aligned and evenly yoked and not even knowing, seriously.
But see, that's
Sorry.
what I want to touch
My
on.
God.
Yeah.
It's truly the power of the partnership,
Yeah.
right? Because couples don't realize that when you're working against each other, you're working backwards.
Yes.
You know what I mean? If you work together, you can go so much farther. So even folks dating, if you're in dating with the intention to marry, then you can do, okay, well, he get the first property,
Yeah.
she get the second property, or vice
Yeah.
versa, or whatever. And then you end up with more than you would have had by yourself.
Absolutely.
And people don't realize you're leaving a lot on the table by not working with your partner to
Absolutely.
get whatever you want get done.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's dope.
You said alignment and agreement, and I'm not a Bible thumper, but I know somewhere in the Bible it says something about alignment and
My
agreement.
daddy say that all the time. He's like,
Something about alignment and agreement and blessings or overflow.
Yes.
And so I love being
"Run it
married.
over. What do we say all the time?
Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. okay? Because they used to say it in my church all the time. But I love being married, and I love the alignment of a couple together going towards the same goal, because y'all are a great example of what that looks like when two minds get together, they align and they agree. We're a great example when two minds get together and we align and we agree. Even in our real estate business, we've tried to do it separate and different.
And it didn't work.
God don't like that real. He don't like that a lot. So it didn't work out. It didn't work. And so we had to come back together
And it only works together.
and agree for it to be what it is that
People ask us all
everybody
the
sees
time,
today.
it's like, well, why do y'all do so much stuff together? It's like, because it works
It's
when
like-
we're
It
together.
works.
When we separate,
It don't work.
Yeah.
And if I had it all figured out, if I was that great, I would have done this by myself
A long time ago.
before I ever got with her. So you got to maximize where God give you the door. It's like, here we go.
Yeah.
So
To speak on that, did anybody kind of help us? I feel like I've had some examples of what to do or what not to do. My mother fought very hard to keep her home. My grandmother was in her home, so I seen home ownership. So having the example of home ownership. Now, what I've tried to do is, not put ourselves in situations where a lot of our community gets into where they refinance, they don't own, and there's no end in sight, right? So you have that cycle or that curse that happens with us. The example of what to do as far as ownership. So that's kind of why I always had in the mind, like, man, I'm paying more where I can be, owning and paying less. But as far as the investment space, really didn't have anybody that pushed us, that route. I had some friends that took money from other things and dumped it into real estate, you know what I'm saying? So always was in my ear, like, man, you got to get some property, right? Yeah. So, but yeah, man, this journey, we've really been in our circle, like the front runners.
Yeah.
And when you're the front runners, you really don't have anybody to
Push you.
talk to or push you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of, we had to start being intentional about the relationships that we're building with people that's doing what it is that we're doing.
Okay, let me say that. Intentional.
So
About the
We're
relationships.
going to call this episode intentional.
Intentional about the relationships. We talk about this all the time.
Yeah, we do.
What we do is extraordinary. It is not something
Especially
that
in our
ordinary
community.
people do. And so you are extraordinary. We recognize and accept that we are extraordinary as much as we want to be ordinary. And like
No, I don't want to be.
you do, you be like, oh, everybody does this. I'll be like, do this, Kevin. But you feel like everybody does this. But you do have to surround yourself with people who, especially when we're in this space, you need to surround yourself with people that are also in this space. And I'll tell you, I forget who gave me this, but I'll use it and I won't claim it as my own. You need people that you feed. That's what we do with marriage and real estate. You need people that you eat with. Those are people that are doing the same thing that we're doing on the same level.
peers.
And we need people that we eat from. So we need to feed people. We need to eat with people, and we need people that we eat from. And so in our relationships that we've built in this space, in this real estate space, we give back through marriage and real estate. We are working on a peer advisory board for Park Street Homes, our real estate development company. And then, man, when you do great things, the people that are above us, they really pour into what it is that we have to do. And so we have created that space as well and have those
we're
people in our
intentional about
lives
that
too.
Yeah.
You gotta wait till I'm done talking. No problem.
yeah, I think that, that is very, very powerful. That's kind of where, we've, started to transition in the space of, teaching and, mentoring and educating. I struggled with looking at social media in a sense of, looking at people from learning, thinking that I had to be at a certain level to educate. And,
Cap. Sorry.
Don't
need the hype.
Just in the sense of, from a standpoint of like, I needed to be in a certain space, right? So it's like, in certain things, right? So it's like if, like my son, he plays basketball, right? So if I want to get a trainer, right, I need to feel like his trainer has accomplished something in basketball.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I
You don't want somebody
like, have you played basketball before? You know what I'm saying? Like, did you hoop? Like, where did, what level did you get to, right? So when I was looking at from the real estate education space, okay, what level have you achieved? Like, what have you got? I'm looking at myself before I can say this, right? So, cause I'm looking at people that are teaching like, okay, they've been able to do this, that, and the third. But, it came to me and somebody looked at me and said, there's somebody, so I'm sitting here trying to get, I need 15 houses under my belt, right, to teach the person to get 15 houses, right? And one of my old guys, my OGs, he teaches dance, right? And I said, man, why you never teach advanced dance, right? Right? He said, because the market is small.
Okay.
Right? He said, I teach beginners because it's never ending.
That's true. That's true.
That's a word.
So it's less people that know how to dance that need to be advanced, right? It's more people that don't know how to dance at all.
Yep.
So I'm sitting there like, okay, I'm trying to get 15. So you got 10. If you got 10, you don't need me to teach you how to get 15.
Yep.
Right.
Right. My audience is the person that don't have one.
That's real.
So you guys, you have a platform. You do speak and you do teach. Can you tell us more about what it is that you do and how you bring your value to the world?
Sure.
That's good. You gonna take that, or you want me to take it? Or you been taking everything?
No, go ahead.
Kevin does that all the time.
I think, and of course you can elaborate. I think for us, I'm going to segue right into your question, but I just want to say that when you're thinking about your audience and you're thinking about your people, I think we struggle together trying to convince people that are close to us to come aboard and understand what we're doing. Yeah. And so like when he said you get the 15, okay, so we got the 15 and y'all still not listening. We got the 20, y'all still not listening. So at that aspect, it's like you got to move to people who want the education and want to move forward, because somebody can learn something from anybody, right?
Just hang with us more.
Yeah, we just need to hang with y'all more.
We were in that boat.
Yeah,
we did.
We were trying to talk to brick walls.
Listen, and you just like, I mean, we've even got it to like, okay, so like, how are y'all making money? And it's like we went over this
Waste of time.
I can't do it. So it's like, no. But I think for us, one of the biggest things is marriage. We got married so young, like kids. I think I was 22, married, been a mom and a wife most of my life, and we didn't understand how important marriage was and what it does for you in your life and coming together and how that helps. And so because we did learn those things and we put a lot of work into our marriage. We've done so much work to have a good marriage, been through stuff, overcome that. And that has always been a passion, to keep people growing and having great marriages and being successful and staying married, right? Because you see the divorce rate and what that looks like. So that's a big passion, especially for me and women, and just understanding I'm a strong woman. I have worked my entire life. I was the captain of the basketball team. I have my master's. I'm in corporate America. Like, it takes a strong man to deal with me. Right. But it also takes me knowing that I'm a strong woman and still being able to show that softer side to keep my marriage going. Yep. Right. Because I do want a man that wants to be the head. I don't want to be the head. Yep. It may appear that way, but it's not true. Right. And so because that's a passion for me and that's also a passion for Donovan, I think just coupling that together with whatever we're doing helps for us to draw and pour into those spaces. So we do counsel married couples. Mm-hmm. And we do counsel as it relates to real estate and helping individuals get their first property, starting those projects, what that looks like to do the rehab, what it looks like to get a good tenant, paying the bills, keeping the tenants going, and just, I think all the knowledge that we have, we use to pour into anybody that wants to listen. We're the people that, well, how did you do this? Well, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to tell you how to do it, because what's for us is for us. So we don't have to sugarcoat it. We'll help you get to the next level. And we're both like that. So it makes it very easy to pour into people that want to be poured into.
I love that. So much alignment.
Guest host. We're going to get y'all.
Yeah. So much alignment between what we do. And I think a couple of episodes ago, we had an episode called Harriet Tubman, because we say we are the Harriet Tubman of marriage and real estate.
So that's the evolution of.
Not for me.
Well, let me say, when we first started.
Oh, that's true.
We were very much. I mean, we would talk to anybody who wanted to listen. And we sat with so many couples for years, invite them to our house, had dinner, broke bread. And what we saw time and time again was people say they want the information. And I'll give you the whole book.
Yeah. And they don't do nothing with it.
Nothing. And it hurt my heart,
Not
because
mine.
I'm like, this the playbook. Like, if you want to do this, if you want to leave your job, you want to build wealth, you want to whatever. I gave you the rest, and it worked. It worked for us.
If somebody had done it for me.
And when we first got into real estate, no Black people taught us anything. And there were very few Black people that we could look at all to even give us a word. It was everybody else who was like, oh, let me give you the playbook. And the people who mentored us was everybody else.
They didn't look like us.
Exactly. And we have unique struggles, especially being Black folks in the space. So we wanted to help those around us, our internal network, conquer those battles. And it was for naught. So we created Marriage and Real Estate to have essentially the ability to speak to a broader audience instead of just one at a time.
Correct.
Because the hardest part was seeing the crushing results of people you love not taking the advice that you give them to get them out of whatever their situation is.
Somebody asked, how do you convince people to do real estate? Like, this works, real estate builds well. How do you convince people? You just do it.
You just do it.
And at some point, it's going to flip where you're not convincing people. They're going to be asking you, what is it that I need to do to get to where you are? So you just keep going. You just keep building. You just keep growing. You just keep being the example, and it'll turn. But no longer are we wasting time with people who, one, aren't going to do the work. And even if you're not going to do the work, at least tax it. I mean, it's going to cost you money to get this information to do this, right? And everybody's like, it should be free. Why don't we give this to our people for free? People don't value free.
They do not.
When you give a free event, your turnout is low. When you charge people $300, $3,000, somehow you got 50, 500 people in the room. And so people see the value. When people put that money where their mouth is, they see the value of it. And so we did free education.
Man.
We did all kinds of things.
We
get it.
I don't want to interrupt you. I just want to tell us one example.
Go ahead.
We did an event called Playdates in Real Estate where we hired a babysitter to watch people's kids so we could teach them real estate. When I tell you only the couples that we were already in the space with showed up to support us, we had 50, 60 registrants. Nobody came.
That was
free food, free babysitting, like activities, the whole nine.
It's so funny because just sitting here, it's like I feel like,
looking in the mirror.
That's what I tell y'all do need to hang with us. We'd have been through it.
So,
Yep.
so me, I do a lot of events, right? So I'm like, I don't know, I put it in my bio like event curator, right? So I do a lot of events, right? So I've done events for my own self, my books. I've put together my own book tours, all these different things, right? So I had kind of had a vision about a real estate event. So just throwing ideas off of her and off of another couple, from a mentor standpoint, they was having the same struggle, right? Trying to do events, nobody showing up, this, that, and the third, right? So their problem was they had the information, but couldn't get the bodies in the seats, right? I could get the bodies in the seats, but didn't have all the information, right? Because from their standpoint, they were a realtor, they on their own brokerage, construction. So they have 20 years in the game, 25 years in the game. We got 10 years in the game, right? So I created the brand Couples in Real Estate. And it's kind of like, so then after we did couples in real estate, so I said, okay, what should I do? Okay, well, I'm thinking about maybe a couples in real estate podcast. And then people say, well, where's the book coming? And then people say, okay, well, I'm going to do a club. And then I'm going to do these different things, right? And what I've learned is putting people in the room and learning this thing, right? It's not that people don't want to do it, right? One, they don't know how, or they're not understanding what it is that you're saying. Right. And then when you sit with couples, one of the other things is this, right? Couples have different. So like you said, so if, okay, we're sitting down and we want to talk to you guys about real estate. The problem is, I don't know what your thought process is about money and how you make money, so on and so forth. And then I don't know about your thought process, right? So even coming in a situation, you two might not even be on the same page with each other about money.
Yeah.
Right? Y'all might got different accounts. Y'all might got different this. So that's what I've learned, even sitting down and having conversations. It's not that what we're saying doesn't sound good, right?
Yeah.
Or they doesn't believe. It's that it's the internal thing that it's like, okay, if we do that, we really got to work on some stuff with us.
You got to come together.
We got to, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that.
It's so
Right. What? People be looking at me like, you have a...
Yeah, so then it's, you know, from that standpoint, then that's when it's like, man,
my debt too.
like, so then it's like, okay, I'm going to just talk to you.
Yeah.
So then if I just talk to you,
Wife ain't getting it.
right, then it's like, okay, now you go talk to your wife.
Yeah.
So here's what we know. When the times are good, we enjoy it together. When the times are bad, and if you're in real estate and you're in real estate long enough, you're going to experience some good. You're going to experience some bad. And if we're not on the same page, those are the things that will tear your marriage apart,
See,
right?
I told you this didn't work. I told you this. And you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Right.
So this just came to me. You know, we keep talking about the riches are in the niches, and you made a good point about that earlier. Like, I only want to work with couples that have an alignment. Like, hey, you like her, right? Y'all cool. Okay, so check. Y'all want to work together, right? Like, y'all have aligned yourselves and bank accounts look like this and that marries and everything. Okay, check. Okay, yeah, you can come and sit with us.
Yeah. You
can come and be a part of this movement that we have. But if the husband is down and the wife isn't, that's too much work. Maybe there's a organization that helps people to figure that part out, which it sounds like that's what y'all do, right? Like, y'all counsel married couples and kind of get them in alignment, as well as talk about real estate. I think for us, I really would prefer to work with people that are aligned.
Which I think we've gotten to that place.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, and I wanted to touch on two points that you made to follow down on what Aisha's saying. In the evolution of marriage and real estate, what we realized is we only have the space for the couples who really want to get there.
Yeah.
For sure.
And
That
you
makes
really
sense.
only want to get there when you're working on your marriage and you're working on your business, and whatever those connection points are, right? You figure that out before you got in the door. Because to get to this door already is so much work that if you get here, you can, if you get to 10, you can probably get to 15. But if you never get to 1, you ain't gonna get to 10 that easy.
Right.
That's a lot of work, right?
a lot of work.
And we also run businesses, so it's hard doing that other part of work. The second point I want to touch on is the one thing that we have learned and we do know is across the country, probably across the world, there are couples who are like you guys and like us have already gotten to
For sure.
at least that initial point.
Yeah.
And they need people to connect with.
For sure.
Right. Now, there'll always be the couples who are about to. You know what I mean? They in the journey to get there, to get to their 1 or whatever. And then there's the couple that, man, I got to 3, but I really need some advice to get to 5. Or, I got to 5, but now I want to turn it into a business. Or I got to 1 and I really love my job, but we want to build this wealth thing up. Those couples are the couples that we really want to focus on. And they're smaller in demographic, right? They might be 1 out of 100.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of couples in the country.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
And I think that's where the collaboration comes, because we always talk about, we don't collaborate. We
Trying
don't
to date us,
collaborate.
Kevin.
And we always talk about that, but it's relevant in every space.
Oh, 1,000%.
Right. So it's relevant in every space. And then it is a process in which people have to be at a certain space. Right. And, just giving a little bit of, something that we struggle with. I'm doing all these things. Right. And she's not along for the ride. And I'm trying to involve her, but she's not involving herself. And I think we were at my aunt's house and she kept referring to the company as his company, right? And my aunt's like, well, what's your name? She's like, because I'm confused. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? So, because they have a transportation company, right? So the transportation company is called Riley's Transportation, right? So she's like,
everybody in this house,
all the Rileys, this is the Riley's building.
Put your hands up.
You know what I'm saying? So she's like, why do you, that's the boy group. Why do you keep saying that? You know what I'm saying? And for me, I'm like, tell her. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, tell her. So I'm going to do events and I got to hire this person or bring this person with me, this, that, and the third. So then when I bring her, the book sell like crazy. Every time I said, well, you're not understanding. I'm up here.
That's that God part.
And I'm like, what is it you're not understanding? This is what the people want to see.
That is.
Yeah.
So then when I'm talking about my wife on stage or whatever, and then you're right here, now it looks like, okay, she supports you.
Yeah.
You're aligned. Now, because before it looks like, okay, two separate individuals and, so I'm like, this is what it has to be and how we evolved and where we at in the couple. So then now, whatever I'm saying on the real estate side, she's saying the same thing. And her getting her license really made sure that, okay, we're able to speak to certain things and we're, wanting to, I feel like, better ourselves business wise to, get as much stuff under our belt as possible, just to help us navigate the space.
Let me tell you why. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, just really quick. I just want to speak to this one point because just in case anybody's listening and they're in that same space. For me as a woman, I wasn't really sure how to be a helpmate in that space. Now, my mom was an entrepreneur, right? But like I mentioned before, I've been working since I was 14 years old. The only thing I know is corporate America. The only thing I know is going to get a paycheck every 2 weeks and what that looks like and that security. I think when Donovan has always been, I call him a visionary because he can see things beyond what I'm even thinking.
You see what I see?
Like, I can't even.
I do.
My mind, if it's not right in front of me, you might as well forget it. Like,
funny side note.
Yes.
And I'm gonna let you finish.
Come on,
Every
Kanye.
couple that we're good friends with, the alignment is like this to like this. Because she's the visionary and I'm the executor. Because the difference in those holes in each other, it fills in the gaps for each other.
Yes.
Yep.
Right.
Yes.
So you might not have to be the entrepreneur part if he is.
Yes.
And then you can see the things on the structured corporate
Exactly.
base side, that he can't see. And you represent everybody. So people generally want to see the wives anyway.
Yes.
I don't want to see the husbands like that. We ain't the face.
There's a pattern: stabilizer and igniter.
yes.
Stabilizer, igniter, stabilizer, igniter. And that doesn't mean that both of us don't operate in this space.
And turn
One
it back
person
on.
stabilizes it and the other person keeps that spark,
Yes.
keeps us going, keeps us innovative, keeps us moving. And what we've noticed when we talk to other couples is that is a pattern. There's a stabilizer, there's an igniter. So
Let her finish.
I am. Too late now. She forgot what she got to say.
But just learn. I think him allowing me and voicing that he wanted me apart, like seriously apart, helps me as well because my words of affirmation, you have to tell me how you feel. I need to be affirmed. And I think by him sharing that with me and really, because Donovan says a lot, right, to me, and he can say things that will stick and he can say things and I'm just like, okay, whatever. But I think having that real conversation and then seeing the proof when I showed up allowed me to open my mind and see, and which has totally grown our business. I am more so on the corporate side. So I'm managing the books, I'm paying the bills and all of that, right? And he's the one like, oh, I just bought a house, figure out how to pay for it and get all the utilities turned on. And then I'll let you know when the bills are due.
Pretty
I'm
much.
like, right? But then that's where I come in at.
She's
That
like,
is-
oh, we can buy that. And I'm like, okay, well, let me figure out how to make this shit happen.
yeah.
I gotta,
Yeah.
you know.
So y'all have to promise that you'll come back.
For sure.
Okay, you heard it here. They said they would come back. Now
Yeah.
they don't.
This is a long. This needs to be one of our and it tends to happen like this with great guests.
Yeah.
We end up going like hours, so we're gonna have to carve out more time. I
We
know
do.
we're busy,
Yeah.
but let's carve out.
Yeah,
some
they
other
said
time.
that they would come back. I like the synergy that we have, and would certainly like to explore this some more. And I also think that the things that we have to say that we probably will say off camera when we get to sit down and kind of get to know each other better are things that our audience needs to hear, right? Where we are, how do we get started, and some of like, okay, we got started now, what's the next step? And I think we're all in different places in this real estate journey that there's so much more that needs to be said. So I want to thank you guys for coming on the Marriage and Real Estate Podcast. I want to thank you for your persistence. I am so excited that this happened. And we look forward to having you guys back again.
Awesome.
Awesome. I would say thank you for having us. And one thing that I, kind of close out in is saying that, if you are, aspiring to do something, right, you need, like I said, be intentional or align yourself. So like, not that I can't learn, right, from investors, right, but I know enough in the space, right? So it's like, when I seen, okay, developers, right, it's like that piques me like, okay,
Yeah.
that's
something different.
like you said, the
Next step.
Being fed.
being
the
fed.
fa- you know what I'm
Being
saying?
fed, yeah.
Not that I can't learn from anybody, but I know as an investor, you got a lot going on. I got a lot going on. We're going to be probably talking about the same stuff
Yep.
over and over again, but being able to talk and see a different world, I think that that's what people need to do, period, right? So if you're not investing, right, you need to talk to somebody that's investing.
Yeah.
You need to be able to get fed from an investor, right? You don't need, you don't need to keep having the same conversations with your coworkers, right? Y'all both work at the same place. Like,
Remind me to tell you a funny story.
Facts.
I
You know,
told it
so-
on the podcast last week. Remind me
so
today.
kind of find some people that, you are interested, or if they're in a space, right? Mentors, right? They're in the space that you want to be in. That's what you should be trying to seek out, and be intentional about. And I'm not saying that, don't, I'm just saying we got a lot of time. We got to stop. We don't have a lot of time. So we got to stop wasting time. I don't want to hang out and keep talking about the same stuff over and over again.
That's
Agreed.
You know what I'm saying? I want to try to grow. And I think that, people that you aspire to be, that you admire, or you see that's doing something or in space, try to spend some time with those people too,
I love it.
And that's what we created the community for. So we definitely welcome you guys into that marriage and real estate community.
For sure.
Bring all that energy.
Yes.
I think everybody that not only watches the podcast and listens to it, but also just reaches out, stuff like that. That's what they need, right? They need folks like you guys to go, look, man, you can do it. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times people see us and they're like, nah, we really can't do it. So seeing more people that are doing it
Yes.
in lots of different ways is the key.
Yeah.
Right. Because we all have a different journey, but we can all get to a great place. So
The boys always hijack my closing, but
I didn't do it this time. You can't blame me this time.
this has been the Marriage and Real Estate Podcast. You guys look forward to seeing the boys and the Sheltons again. We are out.
Out.